Claire, do we have any Sederunt and apologies?
Chairman, we've got apologies from Councillor Crothers, Carston, Gilroy, Nicholl and Wiper. Councillor Stitt and Marshall, are the apologies as well?
Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest? Moving on to item 3, the minute of the meeting of the 14th of February 2013. Are we happy that this is an accurate minute? Councillor Nicholson.
Just for one, where was it? Just under 5.4, it's noted that I left the meeting and I didn't come back into item 7 when I spoke in item 6. So I was in there during that. But I maybe went out to the comfort league or something, but I was actually in the meeting.
Okay, then.
It's not questioning the veracity of the minute, it's just 6.4. Down to the Shorehead Primary School. The statistical information would be distributed. Did that actually happen? It happened now.
If it hasn't, we'll ensure that happens tomorrow.
So with the amendments for Councillor Nicholson at 5.4 and ensuring that the information about Strawhead goes out, are we happy? Item 4, Hannahfield Trust, report by Director of Education Services. Fairly straightforward report. Director will speak to it if required. We have a trust which has been in existence for a long, long time and has unfortunately run out of money. I think the Education Department are happy to honour the current degree students who have the promise of funding, and it's really just passed to the recommendation. Any questions?
Happy to agree, but I wonder why we let it get to such a stage that it has to fold, because there are a number of trusts and folk look at that for some degree of support, and I wouldn't like to see that being a pattern that we would come into familiar with.
I can give some information on that. That was precisely the thinking I had myself, was to find out what had happened there. So I've been in contact with Stephen Hinton Smith, and what he'd said was that it was set up a long time ago with a relatively small amount of money, although that was quite a lot at the time. And if investment had been put in maybe 50 years ago, we might not have been in this position. What he said is that the time he picked it up, which was not too many years ago, the amount of money was so small, it was unable to sustain itself and be dynamic in terms of generating new income.
Happy with that. Happy with it.
Do you have any other questions from members? Happy to agree the recommendations. Point 1, the dissolution of Hannahfield Trust from 2013, as detailed in section 3.2. 2.2, that Education Services make the annual award to the existing 4 scholars until the completion of their degrees, as detailed at 3.3. And 2.2, to remit to officers to seek removal of the trust from Scottish Charity Register, as detailed in 2.3. Oh, 2.3, yes, sorry, there's a typo in the paper. Recommendation 2.3. We happy to agree? Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 5, Dumfries Learning Town Consultation Progress Report. Members have asked for continual updates on the progress of the consultation. I'm going to bring in the director at this stage because I think it's incredibly important that although we have what's in front of us, that we have all of absolute up-to-date information, and I feel that the director should maybe just fill in any gaps that have occurred since this paper was written.
No, that's fine. I just hope that theme continues through every meeting with all officers rather than just pushing it through.
Noted. Thank you, Director.
Thanks, Chair. As the Chair has said, when papers go to print, and you know there's a bit of a lead-in for them, it means that we don't always provide the absolute up-to-date information. And there have been some fairly significant progress, I think, over the last couple of weeks on the professional side of things. So I wanted to really just bring it up to date as full as I could. Anything I say this morning, once we've got the minute from yesterday's Learning LNCT group clarified and agreed, we'll send out to members. So although I'm giving you some verbal updates today, we'll send something in writing to you over the next week or so. in addition to what's in the paper, which really clarifies a lot of the public consultation agenda and what's coming up over the next few months, I think I'm pleased to report some significant progress, positive progress, around the work going on in the staffing models and conditions of service group, and indeed through the learning and teaching working groups. And I think what's critical there is that we're beginning to see agreement on some key issues emerging, and in addition to that, some changes in thinking and some new key themes emerging in terms of learning and teaching. And that's coming because of what teachers are saying in the groups, but also from looking at what's coming through from parental comments and concerns. Okay, we will give you an update on that as soon as it's been cleared by the group completely. I don't want to do that. I'm going back. But I think what I would also say to you there is that I would like to give you some really key milestones from a professional point of view, just to be aware of as members. An interim report will go out to staff by the end of this week on the work that has been ongoing and on the agreements reached on staffing model, on conditions of service, and on some processes around what might happen if there was a changed model. That will go out to staff this week. We will copy you into that. The presentation sessions which are due to take place, there are 10, I think, presentation sessions due to take place in the second fortnight of April, will have a significant additional information. They don't have the final information. That's not the final report, because if the learning and teaching group is expected to take account of parental concerns and what teachers are saying, then what they're working on are changes, and they're working on updates, and they're working on detail. So that's an ongoing process, but there should be, we expect, significant additional information provided at these sessions in the fortnight in April. The final learning and teaching, or as final as it can be, final learning and teaching report is due to be complete by the 25th of May, and the overarching group will have a look at that on the 27th of May, and that can then be sent as an appendix to the committee report to education on the 6th of June. So the planning there is that on the 6th of June, Education Committee looks at the educational argument and the pros and cons around option, with that report as a significant basis. The full report to go to full council on the 27th of June. Now, there's a wee mistake in today's paper because it says July. The last full council meeting of the session is 27th of June. Right? So on the 27th of June, for full council, will be a full report which includes all of the learning teaching issues, but it will also include comments from the unions. It will also give you an indication of what's come through from the online surveys, the parental consultation, what the build implications would be, up-to-date information on finance, revenue costs, etc. Okay? And the hope, again, there is that at that full council, a decision can be taken on a preferred strategic option, which would then be the basis of a strategic brief. That would then be, if it's a change, be subject to probably take about 6 months for consultation and delivering the full business case. All of this time, I'm almost finished, Councillor. All throughout this, the public would be trying to keep people up to date with developments as they happen, and that, for example, today the parent council chairs, for your information, are working on the online survey that will go live. Hopefully that's helpful.
Sorry, Colin, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I didn't understand you were the chair in the meeting as well, but I was trying to get the chairs. But I only wanted to ask a simple question about the full council. Does anybody know what the agenda is for the full council? And we don't want to, if it's a 30-item agenda, I don't want it to demean the importance of this subject.
My understanding is that particular meeting dealing with a smaller number of agenda items. So I think a budget report of some nature, which would not normally have much else. Double that first, but again, I will go away and check that. Diggle.
Sorry. I'm just wondering whether there's any mileage in having a seminar shortly before that council meeting on all the findings and the options.
Clearly, that would be up to members. I'd be very happy to help organise that. I don't see any difficulty with that if you felt that that was able to provide information in a different way from actually sitting debating at full council. Happy to organise that if members want to see it.
I think that would probably be a very good idea, because obviously the Education Committee have had all the information across all the way along. And I think it's probably been 2 or 3 years since we last had a seminar on this particular topic. So for the fullest of information for all 47 members in June, the seminar would be very useful. Perhaps a copy of that would be right. Councillor Lever.
Yeah, I think that would be very useful to have a seminar, and I think it might be useful to invite parent councils to attend that as well. Pulling all the information. Thanks for the update on where we are in terms of the consultation. Could you actually send an email with all that information as to where we go from here to probably all members of the council, since everybody's going to make the decision at the end of the day? I noticed on 3.2.1 it refers to a rolling media plan is in place, will commence in March in order to promote the next series of engagement in April and May. Well, I heard it was mentioned on the opt-out this morning, but I haven't really seen very much more in terms of the media advertising that. And just looking at the responses to date, I mean, I've been to various of the events, and they weren't particularly well attended, as is very evident from this. So I think that is something which we need to push as much as possible to actually make it absolutely obvious to parents that this is a very, very important step we're going to take, whichever option we go down. So I think we do need to get much more involvement with parents in that. I was at Heath Hall Parent Council the other night, and one issue which they raised was the possibility of a parental referendum on which option they're going to take. I mean, they've actually been carrying out their own referendum. I think Georgetown has as well. So they're in the process of, well, Heath Hall have already collated theirs, which option. So I think that's something else which we need to look at. I was on the Dumfries Learning Town website yesterday, and there's not a great deal more information in there than there was in January, beginning of January. So I do think we need to update what information. There's a lot of questions had been raised at the various meetings, but there were very few answers. I hope we can update that as soon as possible, because obviously people will be going onto there to see the answers to the questions. We don't have a huge amount of time if we're going to make the decision in June. It's going to be on us in next to no time. And just in general, have we completed the consultation with the Catholic Church in terms of, I mean, their buy into this is absolutely critical. Otherwise, it throws the whole thing wide open again, whether they're prepared to go along with any change in the current system. And also the General Teaching Council for Scotland. Once again, we need to have their buy-in in terms of what we're proposing as well. Have we actually completed that? And also, if we're proposing going down either options 2 and 3 and building a new school up at the Crichton, that's going to have a major impact on the residents up there. So are we building that into any of the consultation in terms of this? I don't understand some of the figures in here in terms of who we consulted. For example, on page 13, we've got some teaching staff questions and answers distribution via Globe, brackets 5,000 staff. We don't have 5,000 staff. Education, as far as I know. And some concern was expressed by one member of the parent council, as far as apparently there's some concerns that if we don't go down either options 2 or 3, the £18 million which has been set aside for the development of the learning town may be withdrawn by the council. They were concerned, I don't know where they picked that up, but obviously that is something which is starting to run. So could we have a guarantee by the chair that that won't happen, whichever route we go down, that £18 million will be set aside for whichever option we choose to develop. So I know that's quite a lot of stuff I've been prattling on about, but grateful for some answers.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks for those questions, Councillor. I probably could pick up on 3 or 4 of them, maybe pass other ones over to, and probably back to the chair for a couple of the more political questions. As I said at the beginning, I'll email all council members all of the information that I've just given. The reason I didn't want to do that before this meeting is that we're still finishing the minute from a meeting that we had yesterday. Read a lot of that. So over the next week or so, I'll receive that information. Hopefully that'll be fairly reassuring. There are fairly major half-page adverts going into local newspapers as well. I think it might be this week or next week. Done that through Lindsay Baker, communications officer. And again, you're quite right. We need to advertise very well. There has been this sort of gap in the engagement activity precisely because we've been trying to get some progress made on the working, people working away on some of the detail. And I do expect there'll be significant new information, not final information, but new information available for the sessions that come up in the second 2 weeks in April. A key issue is that 3 options are flexible. And a key issue that seems to be emerging is that the learning and teaching groups are trying to get the best of what's in there, not necessarily one absolute single option. I think that's what will come through. And that's positive because I think that displays the integrity of the consultation. Maybe that we don't end up with exactly any of these, something that's hybrid. The GTC has been partly confirmed. We got a report yesterday back from the chair of the LNC TESOL group to say that he'd been in contact with the chief executive of the GTC who didn't feel there would be any major issues for example, probationers working through their training year in any of these different types of schools. However, we're waiting for further response around how it may be that different sectors could or could not closely together. I think that's all of the ones that I'm able to answer.
Pastor Reverend.
Thank you. Just say that when a decision is made from the Catholic Church, it's the bishop who writes and he makes the final decision. But on behalf of the bishop, I have been meeting with the parent councils and with the advisor for the Scottish Conference of Bishops. He has been there. We have tried to get an understanding from the wider community of the Catholic Church in Dumfries, not only those who are involved in the schools just now, and so the parishes have been involved in this consultation process as well. But between the parent councils, between soundings from the parish communities, the major reflection which is coming back to me is that there must be a good reason to change something which is working just now. That Catholic formation within Dumfries is from 5 to 18, and to go from 5 to 15 or 16, there must be a good reason to change that. So we're not going to have an option at the present time of Catholic formation, and we're not just talking about Catholic religious education, talk about the whole formation involved in a school for 4th, 5th and 6th year. There would need to be very good reasons in order to accept such a change.
Sorry, what was your question for me again?
The guarantee of the £18 million which is set aside in the future funding, whichever option we go down, that is still going to be incorporated into the budget.
My understanding is that regardless of which option we go for, that the money has been set aside, and obviously if we stay with option 1, we understand that investment will be required in the schools anyway. That will stay in that pot. I have Mr. Birrell.
Thank you, Chair. I've been taking part in the discussions and the group that's looking at the learning and teaching issues in relation to the option. I have to say I'm very happy. I think all the members of that group are very happy with the independence and integrity of the discussion placed there. It's co-chaired by two people who have no direct involvement in education. Borough approaching, chairing of that and exploring the education. A great deal of independence and objectivity. all the members of that group are very happy with the discussions that have been going on there relating to the educational issues contained in each of the options on the table, and looking very carefully at what might be the final form that does actually deliver the best education for our young people in the borough. As Colin said, the minute very shortly of the meeting that took place yesterday on staffing models and service group, way in which that is produced and generated goes to both sides. That is a committee that is debating over issues that are related to how conditions of service of staff would be affected in relation to the implementation of any of the options. And as a record of those discussions and decisions, that obviously has to be agreed by both sides of the committee before it can be accepted as a objective record. But that will shortly. I think we do have a lot to achieve still in consultation on educational issues and conditions of service for staff, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. But we did make a lot of progress yesterday. Some key specifics as far as staffing is concerned. I certainly feel that we're involved directly on the staff side in consultations are happy with the way in which all the important issues are being aired and discussed at the moment. It's not the same as saying automatically that inevitably that both the staff and the management side will reach agreement about everything, but I think we will reach a good measure of agreement about most of the issues that are on the table, and feel that discussions are progressing well.
Thank you very much for that input. It's been very helpful, I think, for all members. Do we have any other members wishing? Councillor Nicholson?
Thank you, Chair. That's interesting. That was one of the questions I was going to ask, because when Colin was giving his presentation and he said there had been interim reports had been staff communications and that, and then agreement. And I just wondered how firm that agreement was and who it was for, and whether it was all staff that was agreeing or whether it was just a partial agreement on certain items within that discussions. But that's kind of clarified, so it's not a total agreement. It's ongoing discussions and certain points have been agreed within that. I think, and given the Chair's answer to the question regarding the £18 million, and why that was muted out to, certain discussions taking place, I don't know why, and I don't know who it was that actually did that, and I'd be interested to find out who said about the £18 million, and the dangers of it, because it seems from some parents to have been a kind of threat, kind of blackmail, and that's a kind of, people can shake their heads or whatever, but that is the feedback I'm getting, and not just me, other people are getting that kind of feedback as well. But I think if you, as a chair, are saying that won't happen, that's fine. And I think one of the other points that has been raised was the impact in jobs, teachers, and finance not having any impact. Now, I don't know where the information on that is, but but if it is not going to have any impact at all on jobs, teachers, finance, and that, I would like to have that information as well. I know there's been concerns expressed, regarding them two items, but and further clarification on that I think is needed. On the actual report itself, on the consultation, when will the council actually consult people? I'm talking about, for example, neighbourhoods to the council. People actually, her neighbours to the council or housing estates near the Crichton estate, and if that can be built into the consultation I think that go a long way to help allay some of the fears of it, and as the information could then come out. I think most of the other things have been said about, you know, I think everybody got the emails through, and you can see that a lot of the parent councils and a lot of parents within them councils have concerns about the consultation, about the lack of information in it. And, you know, for example, on the three options, these are the three options, and when there has been additional information that hasn't been said in, and concerns that have been raised at these meetings, which I know that most, you know, quite a number of the Labour group went to, the feedback we're getting is these concerns, questions haven't been answered. So I think that's, you know, it's fine having consultations, but unless it's meaningful consultation, unless it's meaningful, a two-way dialogue, then, you know, it doesn't mean anything at all. So I think that's got to be part of the process going forward as well. And it's not my concerns, it's concerns that have been expressed to me. Although saying that, you know, although saying that, I do have concerns about the consultation as well. About, I spoke about it the last time, about misinformation out there that was coming through officers as well. You know, for example, how option one would stay exactly, you know, there'd be no change in option one, there'd be no change in the schools and that, which isn't true. You know, so that type of information is still out there, and it's still being fed back to people within within these meetings. So I still have great concerns about the consultation.
Thank you very much. I'll just clarify, going back to the 18 million, as I say, we have a commitment to 3 options. And if option 1 becomes the option that we take, we totally acknowledge that these schools will need investment. And whether it's 18 million or whatever figure that is, you know, that will go into the school estate management plan. I'm only but one member. I can't make all the decisions. I can just give a guarantee that schools will get the investment that is required if that is an option that we take. I totally understand the concerns of parents. I myself have been in touch with many parents, and I think that we're trying very hard to take on board their views. I've personally emailed a few with as much information as I can, and I'll pass the director to pick up on the issue of wider consultation with the local communities in that area, because I think it is in a timeline somewhere.
Yes, as I'd quite like Chair to pick up on some other points that Councillor Nicholson made. Firstly, in terms of answers, what I was explaining at the beginning was that as parents have raised questions and concerns throughout, either individually or at the last set of meetings that we had, those are precisely what have been fed to the learning and teaching groups. And when we have the next set of engagement activities, you will see that thinking has moved on because of those concerns. So they are being answered, they're just not being answered today. They've been answered through the work that's being done. That's one thing I want to explain. The second one around staffing, again, we'll have to wait for the minute from yesterday, but I do need to be clear that we've made very good progress on agreements around the fact that this was not about reducing numbers of management posts or staffing. And you will see that in writing in due course, and that will be a part of a negotiation that you would expect the teaching unions to have certain guarantees around. The third issue, and I think integrity and transparency is very important, it was me who said, and I do wonder whether you may know that already, but it was me who said at a parent council meeting that if we ended up with something which didn't look like a learning town at all and looked like status quo, I said I didn't know whether the 18 million set aside for the learning town would still be fully available. I just didn't know. What I mean by that is I've got no worries that that would be the case, because I'm quite clear that there is significant work going around option 1, and the work going on around option 1 is relatively radical actually in terms of what that might look like, and that could certainly be argued to be learning town. I was simply trying to highlight my concern that if we end up doing no change whatsoever, I wasn't absolutely certain that all of the members across Dumfries and Galloway would be still comfortable about the additional £18 million injection. It probably wasn't my place to say. I apologise, I was just trying to give an honest opinion.
Councillor Dempsey next, and then Councillor McKee and Councillor Cole.
Thanks, Chair. The £18 million or £50 million, whatever it might be, will only be one part of the scheme anyway, and it'll be there will be a financial impact to this council on top of £18 million that we'll also have to consider, because some years are still conscious of the fact that we've signed up this council to 25 years of spend on the existing PPP programme, and some years will be deed when this council's still picking up the bill for that, and that's a major, it's me I'm thinking about, and that's a major consideration when we do things like, thanks, Ronnie. But the only point I wanted to raise today was about the online survey, and I'm conscious that many parents, especially in some areas, like Dumfries and Galloway, don't have access to PCs, etc., and I wouldn't want to see them somehow marginalised. And I wonder if we're doing something like setting up a system in the northwest resource base where parents that don't have that capacity can go in and be assisted to complete the form, because what you want is a comprehensive view from parents, not just the ones that are articulate and able to use PCs. And I don't mean to be demeaning when I say that, but there are hard-to-reach children by consequence or by default there are hard-to-reach parents. And I would want to see us make sure we consult every parent, irrespective of what their ability is in relation to internet or IT capacity.
That's very much taken on board now, the director in that down. Councillor McKee?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think Councillor Dempster and I will need to talk to the church representatives after this meeting, given what he just said. I take it that this calendar of events, although some of them are staff only, we will still be able to sit in, as we have done previously. What my concern on the consultation is, we've been hearing about this, there's lots of consultation about cluster schools, and it would appear that some of them haven't got their eye on the ball with regard to this super school, but are concentrating more on cluster schools. Would it be possible to stop that consultation until we get this super school sorted out, so that we get all parents involved? Because it's the parents of primary schools that's not being involved, and they're the most important people, I would suggest, in this super school. It's them children that's coming into the primary schools that really should be concentrating on these proposals for the proposed super schools. So it's something I'd like to, because as I say, there's concerns being expressed by the parents on the cluster schools, and if they're not taking part in this super school consultation, that could be leaving quite a big hole. So I just wonder what your views are on that.
My views are the direct.
I'm happy to listen to anybody.
My view is that this committee made a decision to go to consultation on the cluster working review, and time for that as well. It's mid-flow at the moment, and actually I think the final decision is made in May, which will precede any decision done for Dumfries Town. My understanding is that we have two very different teams working on two very different pieces of work, and the cluster working review, regardless of any decision that would be made by members, would not be implemented immediately anyway, and would be able to be incorporated within any decisions made on Dumfries Town. And I trust in the staff that are going out there on both consultations to ensure that parents and teachers and everybody else are getting the information they require. I think to halt either process at this stage would be counterproductive, and this committee made the decision to go on with those reviews. And I think that I will let the director give you an educational perspective. That is merely my perspective.
Director, if you didn't mind. On that basis, I think given that the interest we've taken in the super school, I think maybe we should have had the chance to go to these cluster school meetings as well, just to see what is being said at them. Because this is no disrespect to the officers there or anything like that at all, but I think we should have been there from a personal point of view to see exactly what was being said and how to take it forward, well, what the views were on taking it forward. So if there's more cluster school meetings to be held, I think we'd like to be notified of it, give them a chance to at least attend. Thank you.
I Again, my understanding was that members were informed of when the cluster review consultation evenings were. I think they were emailed out to members. And in fact, quite a large number of members across the whole region have attended some of the consultation evenings, but have also attended parent council meetings specifically for the purpose of discussing the cluster review. They may not have fed into that on the evening, but they've certainly sat in the background and taken on the views of parent council. And I think any member is open to go to any of those consultation evenings, which were scheduled across the region. And I think so. No, you're absolutely welcome to attend those.
Only to reassure members that we're not looking at both major strategic issues in isolation. Who are working hand in hand. They're neither mutually dependent nor mutually independent. One would influence the other, obviously, bearing both in mind. The cluster working review meetings have involved 50 hours of staff being out, and I know a lot of members have attended. But in addition to that, these 10 meetings that are coming up around the learning town involve a lot of my staff being out for a lot of hours as well. And so, there's a level of capacity that's quite challenging to overcome. But these are two massive strategic decisions that the council is about to make, one way or another. I think about the long-term future of education.
On that point, Councillor?
Just a general point, there obviously is a lot more information available now, and I think we've got this sort of cascade of information which is ready to go. I think we need to get that out as quickly as possible, because it's like with a website. If you go back to a website and it hasn't changed since the last time, it's a bit like covalent when that was introduced. We're all told that covalent was all singing, all dancing, etc., but nothing ever changed. There was never any information on there. So I do think we need to populate the Learning Town website with as much information as possible, as quickly as possible, and then people can go there and look at it, and then they can go to these consultation meetings, better primed with where we are at the moment. As the director says, there's obviously a dynamic to this sort of thing. The original options are changing all the time in terms of the consultation. I'm glad that we did actually decide not to go ahead with making the decision on which option we're going to go down in September, because we're now 7 months further down the line. We're 3 months away from actually making the final decision. So there is a momentum going there, and we need to build on that. We don't have a huge amount of time, so we need to be better informed when we go to this next set of consultations. And how this is a dynamic series of consultations. If it turns out we need to have more consultations in the run up to making the final decision, and the learning seminar as was suggested, then that's the route we need to go. This is a massive decision we're going to take at the end of the day.
Enormous one, correct. Thank you for your input. Councillor McCone.
Thanks, Chair. It's simply to ask the Director to confirm once again that there are no plans to close any of the existing schools, or indeed to amalgamate any of the existing schools.
That's a difficult one to answer. There's no plans to close any existing schools. But options are dynamic, and people are working on that. If you count, for example, a 3 to 15 agenda, then arguably you're merging different parts of schools. Understand that? So, some of the options are flexible. People are looking at just now might mean parts of schools coming together around 3 to 15 to improve better transition. That's not about closing. We have said already that there would have to be a programme of school closure statutory process that would have to go in if you had the senior phase school, because you would be taking 4th, 5th and 6th year out of some or all of our secondaries. That's not really about closure, it's more about merger, doing things in a different way. But as I understand it, the issues that have been looked at for the learning teaching group don't relate to school.
I think just politically as well, members of this committee in the last council, and certainly it's been reinforced in this council, have absolutely stated that school closures are part of the process. Why we got to the 3 options we got. I think originally we maybe had 6 or 7 options, which did include the potential of closure of some, but members decided that we were absolutely not. Do I have any other members wishing to speak? Go on then.
Well, just a wee comment. I hope that some of the issues that have been brought up here, the chair understands there is still a lot of concerns out there, a lot of concerns from parents, communities, and and I hope that you will try and make the effort to get to this meeting tonight and hear some of these. I know you've got another engagement. I hope you do try, even if it's for part time, to listen to some of the parents and that.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, moving to recommendations, I think there was a few things that we picked up. The director was going to send out further information that you've given us today, and also the minute of the LNC group as and when it's finalised and approved. I don't think we need to incorporate that within the recommendations. That's an assumption that will be done. If we move to the recommendations, looking at 2.1, to note the ongoing work in progress of working groups and consultation activities as detailed at 3.2.3. Are we happy to agree that? Yep. 2.2, agree to continue to develop our local partnerships with the refinements in the timeline for consultation from phase 1.
I mentioned before about building something about consulting with the neighbourhoods, the areas as well. If that can be done.
Do you want to incorporate that just as a little bit of an add-on and in wider consultation with the local community? Members happy with that? And I think if we add in a 2.3 to arrange a members' seminar inviting parent council chairs, a members' seminar for all 47 members, and also inviting parent council chairs prior to the full council meeting in June. Can we add that as 2.3?
Yeah, that's fine. I would say the chairs and vice chairs are a representative if they can't make it.
A representative of the parent.
Or two representatives, because if you have the chair and the vice chair, would imagine that they'd work together.
Okay, that's fine. Members have
I suggest 2.4 in that case, just in terms of the distribution of information to ensure that the available information is made accessible as quickly as possible.
I'm happy to add a 2.4 to ensure that information is made available and that the website is maintained and kept as up to date as possible. With that, members, are we happy to move on to item 6? Thank you. Item 6, we have a revenue budget monitoring report for 2012 and 2013 for the period ended 31st of January 2013. I have Karen McNish here to answer any questions on the report. It's fairly straightforward budget monitoring report. And do you have anything further to add?
I can just give members a small update that obviously this report is slightly out of date due to the deadlines, but at the moment we are quite confident that we can achieve a break for the end of March.
Excellent, thank you. Members? Councillor Dempster and then Councillor McKee.
Just one, and I presume it's been dealt with in the body of the report anyway, but it's on 3.6, page 14, where it talks about a 44k overspend in primary, and it's due to, well, mostly because rate valuations are higher in a new school. I presume that we'll not have an overspend every year, that will have been to corporate policy or somewhere to ensure that the budget for that particular area is enhanced to cover the actual cost rather than the predicted cost. But it deals with that in Appendix 2. I'm just looking for clarification, that's right.
Yeah, certainly it's anticipated that will be sorted out through budget setting for next year, and that overspend will be removed for next year.
Thanks, Chair. It's these supply teaching costs. I think, as you know, I think there's a paper in the school council on Thursday about people who are retired on pension are not brought back into the council in a month or a year or something like that. Are we comfortable with our supply teaching, or supply of supply teachers, if you like, are youngsters who need experience or who have had experience and maybe want to get way back into the teaching establishment, that they are being used before we're bringing back people who are retired, if you like.
Correct.
Yeah, very confident about that. I would say that the challenges around supply, particularly over in the west of the region, but not exclusively the west of the region, challenges around supply, certainly this year and probably last year also, have meant that virtually everybody, every young teacher or new teacher who wanted to get some temporary work has been successful in doing so. The challenges have meant that sometimes the head teachers, rather than leave nobody in front of class, have gone back to former teachers to ask them back in to work on a supply basis. My understanding from decisions taken by council earlier in the week were around trying to ensure that we don't bring people in on the same sort of contract that we previously had within too short a period. I would hope it doesn't stop us on the odd day bringing back supply teachers, because sometimes we've been really thin on the ground. But there's no question at all of younger teachers or new teachers not getting work because of retirees. It's just we've had to use retirees simply because it's been a challenging situation given us teachers.
I can add slightly further to that, because I sat on policy and resources, and I sought assurances that supply teachers would be almost exempted from that, because under pressure within it to make sure that we had capacity. And my understanding of the decision that was made on the day was that supply teachers and people coming back in to do short-term project work, for instance, a retired head teacher who has a wealth of knowledge, and we maybe need to bring in that skill for a very short-term project, because it's not similar to the post they had previously. We can't afford to lose that skill, and again, that assurance is given. I think we're fairly well covered in that. Sorry, Mr. Burrell, did you want to come in on that point?
Thank you, Chair. Teachers in schools and teachers' unions are very keen in seeing young staff employed in as a kind of step up into the profession as supply staff if they can't initially get a permanent or longer term post, and are always keen to see them, staff like that or other teachers who are not retired but are looking for permanent posts employed as supply staff, and seeing retired staff last in the pecking order, but just really to, particularly from the point of view of secondary schools, the overridingly important criterion if a teacher is absent is that for a particular subject that somebody appropriately qualified is in front of that class. And as some members will be aware, that when you put a teacher in front of a class subject that they're not qualified in supply, it's very often described as employing somebody to babysit. Somebody has to be in charge of the class, but they can't carry the subject work forward. So in preference to that situation arising in occasions where it's unavoidable, we would certainly much rather see somebody appropriately qualified in front of the class carrying forward the subject work rather than that not happening. So sometimes for purely educational reasons, it really is unavoidable.
Very much for that, Councillor Mickey, on the back of
If we just respond to that, I think with all due respect, so that's a common sense answer, and that's what I would expect to happen. But to bring in a teacher that's not qualified in the subject that's required would be a nonsense. I accept what you're saying. Very much.
Thank you. I have Councillor Witts and then Councillor McClung.
Thank you, Chair. Preschool children's integration sector, 27k underspend. Could I have some clarity as to the last few words in that section? An ongoing shift in the balance of preschool enrolment between local authority nurseries and partner providers. Which way is that shift going?
Towards local authority nurseries. Towards local authority nurseries. There is an increased percentage of children going to local authority nurseries.
That's as I expected. Thank you.
Councillor McClung.
Thanks, Chair. Just on page 21, a couple of clarifications on the income. Actual to date, we have on rent 27,075. Actual income, however, the projected outcomes 24,500 roughly. And also under other grants and contributions, we're actual to date over 1 million. Our projected outcome for the end of the year is 532,000. How can we have a projected outcome that's actually less than what we've already up to the end of January?
Yeah, I did take on your point. First of all, the rent, I think there's been significant changes within the new system that actually mean that the budgets maybe aren't quite aligned as correctly as they should be for income, just due to coding changes. But you'll see that the £27,000 income is in line with the income we got for rents last year. The other grants and contributions, I think the actual is just because of a lot of sort of grant income that we've got in that's under projects, and there will be expenditure offsetting that, if that makes sense. Just not got like sort of one-off grants that didn't have in the budget initially that came in, like curriculum that, but there is income expenditure above that's offset.
Councillor McCone.
Thanks, Chair. I notice there's an excess in spending on administration in Appendix 1B. Could you get any comment on that, please?
Again, this is an area that actually links into your other grants and contributions that highlighted earlier. What actually happens is a lot of income is recharged within the department. Like we will charge schools for various items, printers and things. Actually, a lot of the expenditure is actually being offset by income down below.
Does that answer your question?
Not entirely, Chair, no. You're saying that there's been an increase in spending on printers, etc. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, actually there has been a sort of print strategy ongoing with the corporate decision, where a lot of our printers are being replaced, and obviously that's maybe causing some expenditure at the moment, but that will generate savings in future years.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Lever.
Appendix 1B, page 21. The figure for rents, is that rental income through sort of community use of the school? £24,000.
No, that's actually due to like organising, well, similar to school lets, but it's more long term, like sort of private sector nurseries operating within our schools and obviously paying rent for that area of the school. But that would be like where there's a contractual agreement in place, like a school let, like a one-off would come under charges. These are actually contract like let.
That actually clarified for you as well, because I was going to ask the same. Any other members? Okay, happy to move to recommendations. And members are asked to note that an overspend of 31,000, which equates to 0.02% of the total budget, is currently projected for education services in the current financial year. And 2.2, education services management team are actively trying to identify savings to ensure that this overspend is reduced and that expenditure is within budget. And I think we probably have had reassurance to that effect. Members happy to note? Okay, moving on to item 7, property buildings, schools asset class, education services, proposed 3-year capital plan 2013-14 and 15-16. We have Mr. Nelson here to speak to the report and answer any questions on the report. I'm personally pleased to see Appendix 2 I don't think we've had information like this in front of us before, and I think it's been very useful as an overview as to the strategy itself. Do you have anything further to add to the report?
The only thing I would like to say was, realistically, this is only reaffirming what we already have carried out for a number of years, and why the school estate, I believe, has actually moved on quite a pace recently in the last 3 to 4 years. And all we're really doing today is reaffirming the processes that we use.
Members? Councillor Whitson and Councillor Dempsey.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at Appendix 1 and I would like some clarification on the project description, specifically referring you to Brownhall Primary School, where it says it's an extension to farm class-based office and disabled toilet. My understanding was that these works are also incorporating work outside, but specifically the car park. Is this an accurate description?
You are correct. The description really doesn't use the project bound at all. There's quite a number of other areas we're looking at. We are replacing all the windows that are existing as well. Looking at the playground, the existing dining hall, which will become available for different removal. Absolutely correct.
We're very grateful to see this work progressing, and I'm sure it'll be great when it's finished. The school's waited a wee while. If I could take this opportunity to hang something on a sugary nail and ask you a question about the land behind the school, the grassed area, which there was some question about the ownership of that. Is it belong to the council or still belong to the Triton?
That's a bit of a question, because realistically, in a lot of ways, the Triton Trust is actually owned by the council. So at the present time, it isn't part of the school.
I think, just picking up on Councillor Witt's point, we've really got hold of our estate management plan, and for the most part, these are generally very good news stories. And really, if more detail is required in here, I think it's absolutely essential that we get that detail so that the public and the wider communities can actually see what we're investing and how we're investing. Because these are good news stories and we've got a real hold on them now. So perhaps just a bit more detailed information. I have Councillor Dempster and then Councillor McClung.
Thanks, Chair. Just on Appendix 1, page 33, and just one or two questions. The first one is just from my personal understanding. The third section, doing it, all primary schools renew surface of circulation routes. I have any idea what that means.
The simple way of looking at it, corridor, or any areas where people...
You could even have said lobby, Peter.
It might be a description error as well. But it's basically the main circulation route tends to wear out a lot quicker.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Peter. Next one is all secondary school sports pitch provision. I've been saying for a while that there's an obvious omission. I was reported wrongly in the Standard on Friday. There are no 13 muggers in Dumfries and Galloway. There are 13 muggers in Dumfries multi-use games areas. There are now to be 2 3G pitches, 1 3G pitch in Annan, Dalbeattie, Newton Stewart, Kirkcudbright, Stranraer. There's an obvious omission, and I think Sanquhar Academy and Sanquhar Primary School, 400 odd pupils, we should have some sports provision that kids can use in the winter time, in the dark, and I'd appreciate it if Peter could bring forward some proposal that the members might find acceptable on how we can achieve that, because I just think it's wrong that an academy, never mind a primary school, there's no sports provision that's similar to others in the region. And I don't mind them others in the region have it. I think it's right. I think we should invest in sports activities and how to keep young people healthy. And I just want to see that find its way here at some stage. And the last thing is just, and I wouldn't want you to answer today because it'll be an obvious question, but I see we have 2 lift provisions, a new lift facility in St Joe's and the lift installation alongside. Most of these, especially the old academies, have double-storey and sometimes three-storey properties. How soon, and it'll be a speculative thing, do you envisage getting round all these schools? Because most of the primary schools, especially the small ones with single-storey, it's the academies that will cause the problem. And I wonder how soon, because there will be people that would benefit from a lift in every school in the region.
You're absolutely correct. We are looking at proper take recommendation. So I'll actually
And the last point, Chair, and it's only a throwaway line because I've actually discussed it in another forum, but all these schools now, especially the bigger schools where the population isn't as large as it has been, there is spare capacity to create learning plazas, and it intrigues me, the learning plaza. I think it's a very good scheme, and I'd like to see that be developed further. And I'm sure Peter's working on that anyway, but I just like the concept. And as another throwaway line before I forget, it's also nice to see us invest in ongoing maintenance, because for years we didn't do that. It caused nothing but problem, and I see the percentages reflected in the report here. And that's a good news story.
I think just picking up on a couple of those points myself, the learning plazas, we discussed this at committee, I think possibly in the last round, and we had reassurances that we would have information come back to members of success in the schools where it's been piloted, and hopefully a rollout of that, and I would expect obviously to bring that back to the point. I think with regard to the 3G pitches, you're absolutely right. Communities should be served, and I'm very aware that Mr Nelson is aware, and Richard Reeson through Leisure and Sport, that there are pockets within Dumfries and Galloway who still are lacking, and I think they've taken on board as we go forward with a strategy for that through education, in conjunction with education. That it seems ridiculous that we have a new school being built at Langham but no 3G pitch. We have facilities in the north of Nithsdale that have no 3G pitch. So I think that that's been taken on board, and as we roll out with further projects in the future, hopefully, across, we'll be able to cover this as well.
Sooner rather than later, Chair, would be very
Absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, because I've got a magic money tree hidden back here. Councillor McClung.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So in Appendix 1 again, page 33, I'm going to hang my hat in one of my local ones, Moore Primary School. Anticipated spend for 12-13 of just over 12,500. Like to know what that was, but proposed budget allocation for future years. Which year? 14, 15, 15, 16?
The small amount of money is to, again, as was talked at last committee, we did consider Shawhead being first of a number of the more was considered as next. Small amount of money. When we actually have money,
Thanks for that. So the project description, maybe another one that possibly isn't accurate for what we're actually doing. I'm not complaining about that, by the way.
No, quite. I think the columns as they are, the proposed budget allocation future years has given a few members a wee bit of what years, and maybe that needs to be clarified, what that means. Not actually. I have Councillor McComb and Councillor Bilden.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at page 29, the proposed budget allocations, and I note the new school for Shawhead, 1.26 million. And down at the bottom of the list, there is the autistic school, 1.3 million. I'm seeking a reassurance that the figure of 1.3 million is sufficient, bearing in mind the residential nature of the autistic school.
The autistic school is at an early stage at present. Have other projects carried out like there which has a similar idea. The information you have has to come from schools, almost a social work. Still at an early stage, those are the best.
Thank you. Councillor Brodie?
Thanks, Chair. Just like to welcome the Developments and Academy. The local members have had the plans of the Learning Plaza and the Curtin Wall and look quite very impressive. Just a few questions. Does this mean that the 1960 development is now complete, everything refurbished, or is still more work to be done? The original block, which was built at the end of the 19th century, have the windows been placed in those? And thirdly, been parochial like a lot of people here. Elmvale School delay in completing the refurbishment of toilets. Are these now?
Fine. I'll take those in reverse order. Elmvale School, that will not be used. If we go back to the 19th century, at present, what windows on it? Rear of that mansard. It was installed round about 70. That is to talk about the 60s. That's placed everything. Those areas.
Is that circulation or a corridor?
Circulation areas.
Thank you. Councillor Diggle.
Thank you, Chair. Just on Appendix 1 again and the external play areas, I'd just like to raise the problem we're having at BTEC School, which is a new build. And there's got a fantastic play area at the back. But unfortunately, a lot of this returfed area is little more than a bog. I've talked to Peter about this in the past, and we're probably of the opinion that there are problems with the drains. But what I'd like to see is a commitment that we can get this area into something that is fit for purpose in the near future when this weather disappears. Kids can play on it.
From looking at that, and we're also looking at learning. Generally,
With that, I have no further members. Can we move to the recommendations? Members asked to agree at 2.1, the funding allocations within the Property Building Schools Asset Class Capital Programme for 2013-14 as set out in Appendix 1 to this report. Happy to agree. And at 2.2, agree to receive further detail on the strategic future programmes and financial allocations for the Property Building Schools Asset Class Capital Programme for 2014-15 and subsequent years in September 2013. And I think taken on board that we'd like some more detailed information about the project itself. Happy to agree? Okay, item 8. I have no other urgent business at this time, so we'll move on to item 9, Local Government Scotland Act 1970. Consider adoption of a resolution to exclude the public from the meeting in terms of section 50A4 and paragraphs 6 and 9 of part 1 of schedule 7A to the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. Members happy to agree? Councillor Nicholson.